Hi, everyone. This is pretty terrific. I'm Chris, and as always, this is my friend,
We're just friends?
my
Huh.
excellent friend.
Okay, better. I'm Marie.
Hey,
Hi. I would say that Chris is top tier friend, like pretty terrific
I would
friend.
say
We go way
you're
back.
pretty terrific. Yeah, we go pretty far back. I would
Yeah.
definitely put you on a pedestal as well.
Oh, hooray! That's all I want. I want to be put on a pedestal. I think that's really reasonable to
Yeah.
ask. Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and so
That's
for all one of you who watched the first episode, we're
yeah.
been working through some technical things, and I think I've got them pretty much sorted out, but we'll see. I just tested. It sounds like I'm coming in stereo sound again, so hey, yeah.
That's a marvel. Terrific. Chris, have we done a dive? What's the past tense of dive?
Dove.
Have we
Dove in.
what's the past Yeah. Have we explored your past to technology and all of the many things that you have created through
No, we
technology?
didn't in our one episode.
Oh wait. Well, we had many false starts. Let's say that.
Yes.
We had many false starts because I this isn't the first time that you have like come to a technology anew and been like made it your bitch because did you not like build tell me about Wallovision, which is pretty
Yeah, we
terrific.
just put it back on this week. So I
All right.
co-own an ice cream shop, and we want to merge homemade ice cream, and old school video games. And so to do this, we have a very tiny space. The only way to play video games is outside. We project onto the adjacent alley wall with a screen, and we have wireless controllers set up on the inside. So we project through our windows onto the adjacent alley wall, and we call it Wallovision. And it's how people can play video games inside our shop. And Wallovision, because of the pandemic, has been gone for 2.5 years. But Wednesday, we brought it back for the first time in a long time, and we had people playing the same game that the pandemic interrupted, which was versus Super Mario Brothers. And it's been pretty great. Yeah, it's nice. It
And
feels alive.
you built the controllers. You built the controllers yourself,
Yeah,
like the whole
yeah. I
spiel.
ripped apart,
Ah,
disassembled some old Xbox 360 controllers, and had a wooden case built that it uses a bad style joystick and 6-button layout, and yeah, it's like playing a stand-up arcade game. Yeah.
I just think that's incredible. I don't think. Okay, are you aware of how unusual it is for a person to build such a thing on their own?
I don't think I'm fully aware because most of the people, like my wife is a huge maker, and a lot of her friends are
Mm-hmm.
big makers, so like I know a lot of people who make stuff, and usually I feel like I'm left in the dust.
Well, so I make stuff, but I don't make electronics. And to me, that's very complex and scary, and you could hurt yourself.
Yeah, yeah, you can. I mean, you can hurt yourself making anything, really.
Yeah, pretty much.
Any
Yeah.
tool can be a weapon if you hold it right.
One time I had the brilliant idea to do embroidery in bed. And let me tell you, if you don't have your needle like onto something, like there are different things like pink cushions you can wear across, just losing a needle in your bed in the middle of the night. Oh my God,
Oh
that's
yeah,
bad.
I've experienced that some in my marriage, and yeah, every time I'm just like, let's not put needles in the bed.
No, it's just like I was like, I'm a genius. I can do embroidery in bed. And then it's like, oh, it's in my thigh.
Yeah.
Um, where did it go? Oh, it's in my leg. So yeah, not the best. But I just wanted to bring it up. You're the master of technology in this relationship right here.
Uh,
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do enjoy messing with stuff and learning how it works and trying to bend it to my will, and that's what we're doing right now on the internet.
I think the most important part is the bending to your will. It is the domination of others, including inanimate
Yeah,
objects.
others doesn't usually include humans for me, but
Yes, sure, fair
to
enough.
each their own, I guess.
Well, not that I'm a huge fan of the domination of others.
I'm not real big
But
into
like,
slaves.
I'm not wild about it. No, I'd say hard no on
Cool.
slavery. However, I do feel like mastery of a skill, mastery of an instrument. Those are things that feel that's the okay use of mastery,
I agree. No,
right?
I think those are
Yes.
like getting good at things and, you know, building
Yeah,
interesting
gifted.
tools and machines. So good. I mean, that's what I live for.
One time I learned to make an automaton. Um,
Dude.
like the I think I showed it to you. It was like it got fucked up in the move, but it was like I engineering. What my brain? I could feel like my brain trying to understand
So
it.
you made one.
I made one. I went to in San Francisco the Exploratorium, which is a hands-on science museum, which is typically geared towards children, but is a wonderful experience. They have like Thursday nights for adults. Most people just kind of get drunk and be weird. But a friend of mine and I, neither of us, maybe she drinks, but we went in because they had this thing like a workshop where you could learn to make automatons. We spent the entire night there,
That's wow.
and I made a ballerina that twirls and as you wind her. And she made like a caterpillar that went like this. It was like so is genius. It's so fun, and I swear to God, I could feel my brain trying to work in different ways, and it's like, really? Spatial awareness? I don't do that. Oh, cause and effect? Meh. But it felt really good
I'm
in the
so
end.
stoked that you brought that up. Like it's such a random thing that you brought that up because I went to the Franklin Institute, which is a local science museum here with my kids on the weekend, and they had an automaton there from centuries ago. And I had never like I'd seen it before. It was shaped like a little like metal doll, but what it does, and they weren't like somebody donated to them like 100 years ago, and they're like, we don't really know how to make this work. So they worked on it and tried to get it to a place where it's functioning. Like we don't know where it's from, or like who made it. And it turns out that once they got it working, it's designed to make drawings. And so this automaton, it drew something and then signed it with the person who created the automaton, and that's how they figured it out. It was in
Oh
the
my
memory of the
God.
automaton, and it was so cool. Like, and then I was just like
That
staring at
was
it.
so cool. I certainly am not at that level. My automaton was made out of like cardboard and foam
Yeah,
pieces and bamboo skewers. But that is
yeah. It
wonderful.
it used
Oh, how
it used like
lovely.
irregular like grooving in these metal discs as a sort of memory that controlled the different axes of movement. And so like you can't tell what it says until you run it through the machine, and the machine does its thing. It's
Oh,
so neat.
I just I wonder how many amazing things we have been lost to time.
Yeah.
Because like because that the intricacy of the mechanisms that must be within that automaton, and just who was the genius who made it? I have so many questions about it. And I bet it was very attractive to look at as
It
well.
was. It had a lot of, it had sort of a creepy doll vibe going on in terms of aesthetics, but
Hmm.
the
I'm
you could
down.
see the underside and the backside of it, and there's just so many gears and just like levers, and it's like this is. I mean, it seems like something they would make up for a national treasure movie, you know?
uh, like just like it's a watchmaker's art, right? Like I don't know if you've ever looked into watches much, but it's like all the itty bitties and the doodly woodlies and like how they all work together and the precision involved. I would just like lose it. I just yeah. And I imagine like though I'm thinking of an automaton that can draw a picture and sign someone's name. The level of engineering involved is beyond my ken, I'd say. But wow, yay! How fun!
Uh,
Were the girls excited?
well, so they weren't so excited about the automaton. They were excited about the museum in general, though. There was lots. They have lots of fun hands-on thing. It's probably a lot like the Exploratorium. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
It's mostly like hands-on. Put these gears together, and oh, you can make dominoes fall, and this is why. And yeah, it's a lot of. It's a fun science center for kids mostly.
That's fun. I think I would enjoy it. I want to learn to put gears together. There's a lot. Okay, here's the thing I've been thinking about for a long time, and maybe you and I can do something about it or not. We could just comment on it. I feel like there are a lot of enrichment programs and like expand your mind, expand your creativity, try a new skill things for children. And that makes sense because they're malleable and they're still forming their minds and up until 25, right? But I feel like the opportunities really wane for adults. Um, there was a thing called Odyssey of the Mind. Are you familiar with
No, not
this?
familiar with
When
that.
I was young, so it was like a competition I participated in. My brother Rex participated in, but it's national or international. And like there are different things. Like you write a play that has to have like different things in it. Something has to grow, or something has to do this, and it has to have a theme. Or you have to build a balsa wood structure that can support the most weight possible and have an interactive play thing going on. Like there's just so many different things. And then there's like beyond that, as a team, you also go into this thing where it's called spontaneous, and they just like give you you have no idea, you can't prep. Here's a puzzle to solve. Like, build a bridge between these two tables using these implements. So you MacGyver it, or like name name everything that comes in a pack. And then you have like 10, 20 minutes to do this. Um, and it's just a wonderful experience. It's like team building, you learn skills, it's really fun. And why don't they have that for adults? I mean, I guess like it becomes your work and then you can get a Nobel Prize, but I just feel like it's not necessarily, for me, it wasn't necessarily about winning the prizes. It was just like the opportunity to work with a whole bunch of different people and then see other people's approaches to things. And it was fun, although I do enjoy a trophy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of like a short-term like grad school situation almost. Like people go to grad school sometimes to like just, continue their education. I guess there's a thing called continuing education, right? Or is that different?
It's not as like, it's not, this is continuing education sounds like going to school. And maybe I'm a little like, school's fine. But this was like a fun extracurricular thing. You're building
Yeah, it
shit.
almost sounds
There's
like
like
what they have
spontaneous.
when in tech world they have hackathons, which
Yes.
they get a bunch of people together and they, hey, make a thing, here's the theme, figure it out.
Yeah. Yes. I'd like that, but for everyone and with skills outside, like at hackathons, I imagine that's a lot of engineers.
Yeah,
But
predominantly.
like, what if you got a whole bunch of fuzzies in there
Yeah.
and they had to do stuff,
Well, what if you got
right?
some fuzzies and some
And
engineers together and you just like, hey, you guys figure out something fun?
yeah, I don't know. I just like the idea. I would like to create OM for
I
grown-ups.
like that too. Yeah, and in the gaming world, it kind of sounds like a game jam, right? Like where there's fuzzies involved in a game jam.
Sure, there are fuzzies involved. I don't know, but this is
Yeah, this
different
is
to me. It's like
broader.
everyone write a play. And like it needs to have a rhinoceros. It needs to have something that grows and then ultimately dies, and then it needs to have this, and then everyone has to do this, and it's like really financially supported. There are different levels, like regional, state, international, etc. I don't know, an organized program. But yes, there are things like game jams, but to me those sound like work.
Yeah, they are work.
Because okay, maybe because I've worked in the games industry, I don't want to work on the weekend,
But you want to make a play on the
right?
weekend?
Yeah, I think that'd be different if I had like, especially if like I had a team of people. And again, I'm not a huge people person, but like working together with people is really,
Like a
really fun.
creativity
It
workshop
can
sort of
be.
thing?
Creativity workshop. That's it. Maybe I like the creativity aspect and I like getting people outside their comfort zone. Whereas like a game jam or a hackathon, I reckon the people who self select to do those activities are already somewhat
Yeah,
related to
they're
those
probably mostly in
areas.
their wheelhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. Get outside of it. I don't know anything about balsa wood sticks to support weight. I have to look that
So
shit
here's a
up.
question: have you ever been in a company as an employee, and they're always having like off sites and team building exercises, and sometimes they're a lot like what you describe. Do you
Hmm.
have you ever enjoyed one of those? Like, did it enrich you, or are they always just like a chore?
So as a whole, I am against mandatory
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. That's what I would have
I
guessed.
think, just for
Yeah,
knowing me,
just
I think yeah, it's an opt-in situation. That's I enjoy an opt-in situation. I will say that there are opportunities. I have found opportunities to find fun in in situations like that. And I still have fond memories of them, but on the whole, I don't enjoy mandatory fun. I will say that at Twitch, I led and then opt in programs sort of like OM Spontaneous, where I would have like little puzzles for everybody to do, and we'd like meet for an hour and a half, and and we would do it. And it was optional, so you didn't have to play. So it seems like people like that. I don't know, but yeah. No, have you ever had to do a team building?
I did. One time comes to mind, like the last place I was employed by someone else. It was a relatively small startup. It might have been 30, maybe 40 people, but there was a retreat, and it was a weekend long retreat, and it was off site, so everyone went to like this house. Um, but I remember barely sleeping. Every hour of every day was kind of regimented, and it was like, here's this activity and that activity and that activity. Like organizing it must have been a ton of work. And I remember being exhausted the whole time because it was like, all right, you're gonna make this slogan, and like, all right, you're gonna design this costume, and all right, you're gonna write this song, and now you're gonna do all these things. And yeah, I remember just like being like, this is for people who are younger than me. And this at the time, I was in my mid 20s.
You were young.
I was in my yeah, maybe not mid 20s. I was probably
Late 20s.
no, Leona was newborn. I was in my mid 20s. Yeah. So,
Oh.
I was just like, yeah, I'm too old for this and I'm like 26.
I just For me, a great team building exercise in a workplace environment is doing our work together, because that is the first a use case that is applicable to our actual reality. We're working on something together. And I I don't know if I need to know this much about people outside of work. And it's not like I don't enjoy the people I work with. I do very much so. I form really strong bonds with them. But I don't know. I think removing the element of choice in any situation is not my
Yeah,
favorite.
I can see that.
Yeah. And especially like after hours, it doesn't take into account a lot of different things, especially, hey, shout out to the Ability ERG at Reddit. There are people with different personalities, different learning styles, mental health issues, disabilities, all kinds of different ways of approaching things. And especially in like, I'd say West Coast tech industry, some comedian made a little drawing of like team building activities, and they all skew a certain way, which is probably like drinking, and then sports, and then drinking, and it really cuts out a whole lot of people and the different ways they work, and that to me doesn't build a team. It tells people you must work a certain way in order to fit into this organization. You must be rah rah, good at parties
Yeah, yeah.
to to be part of this organization. So that to me is like, no, don't do that.
Yeah,
Stop.
I've never been a part of a company like that, fortunately, because I don't think I would jive at all with that. But
Mm.
my wife was. She was worked at a startup that it was like 5 people, and in Manhattan. And after they were like, all right, after work every day, we're gonna go out and drink. And it became like they were like, we expect you to do this. And it came to a point. She's like, hey guys, like I'm like married and I don't want to go out and like party every night. I want to go home and spend time with my husband and see my friends. And they didn't really get that. They're just like, "Wow, but this is, this startup is life, right?" No. It's a job.
Yeah,
It's a job
it's
and you
job.
shouldn't
it's job.
And job is fine. Just job is stays job, right?
Yes, I want to turn this into something pretty terrific. I think it's pretty terrific that more and more people, seemingly, are recognizing that job is job and other stuff is not job.
Yeah.
I just, I know there are all kinds of terms in the media about what this is, and I don't think it's like they're very I can imagine the Forbes article or the Bloomberg article saying why X buzzword is not a good idea for your career, said Boomer. Um, but
I think I hear
yeah,
most
I
commonly people call it work life balance, and that the fact that that's even a thing that
yes,
people talk about now is pretty terrific.
yes. But to me, it's all life, and because it's not as though I stop living when I'm working, and but it's all life. And is this how I want to spend my life?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty terrific that people are embracing that more and setting boundaries.
Setting boundaries is
What
really
up?
good, and sleeping
What up,
like
boundaries?
this is some like I think I mentioned on an episode we did not actually put up, but yeah, I've come to really appreciate sleep and realizing that getting enough sleep is not important only like physically but mentally, and you just work better, you know.
And it's kudos on the skin. It's great for your skincare regimen.
I didn't know. Well, I didn't know it was skin specifically, but I would guess that anything that has to
Yeah.
regenerate, you know, you need sleep for.
Well, like the like bags under your eyes. Not that I'm saying you've ever had them, but it's like I think that it's like looking rested and
But
refreshed.
it also
Yeah.
helps, you know, your muscles grow back if you've been doing something.
Your
Your
brain.
brain refreshes, and I
Mhm.
know it helps with your just your body's metabolism. Like if you're not sleeping, that's like the third wheel, right? They're like, well, you should exercise, you should eat well, and you should sleep. And a lot of people try to do it without the sleep, and they're like, why do I feel like trash? It's like you didn't sleep.
Hmm.
It's important.
Uh, for mental health stuff, like when I was in IOP, like that was the first thing they would ask. Like every day you do like a little check in about like what's how much did you sleep, and that was like the very first question every morning, like how many hours.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's not great. And then we're all like, it's not shamed, but we're all like very supportively suggesting to each other that maybe sleep is good and you should get some.
Going back a little bit about here's a prompt that going back to like the automaton discussion. So
Yes.
I know you're a big fan of like the Uncharted series, and like I like adventure stuff in general. Like Indiana Jones is awesome, and just thinking about like the temples they go through. Like think about the Goonies. And think about these,
Yes.
these ancient temples with all this technology and these traps. Do you ever think about like just how improbable it would be to actually build, like how you would build a dungeon filled with traps and have it actually function the way they do in movies? Like, have you ever seriously considered that?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because like it's like that's what?
It,
Why? Why would they do that? But there's that big burial mound for some Chinese emperor, perhaps, or warlord or something. Have you heard of
no.
this? And there are so many stories. It's unexplored because it's supposed to be hella booby trapped. And so I'm like, somebody go in
Yeah, we
there
want to
because
see
there's so
this.
many stories. Yes, and like apparently, like there are all these tales of what's inside, and like he had like the whole world as they knew it represented physically with rivers and oceans of mercury in it, which FYI, poison. But like, and then so like, that can't be true. And then they did like soil samples and like, whoa, there's a whole lot of mercury in this place. I was like, somebody go in there,
Oh,
please. And they're like,
wow.
it's a movie trap.
See, I would love to see some of that. Like send a
Come
drone in,
on,
right? Some an
something.
automaton to check out this trap. Oh,
Yes, they've got like bomb diffusing robots.
yeah.
Maybe we just send a robot.
I want to see what
Oh,
robot
that's
thinks.
yeah. Come on, robot. Mercury. I don't know what it
Uh,
would say. But no, there I have heard of this one place, and maybe it's just like weird history channel shit that I've watched in the past. but there is like this raised mound covered over in grass and dirt, and like it's supposed to be hella booby trapped.
That's awesome. Yeah, like seeing a place filled with booby traps. Like I'd love to see the engineering going because making even with like modern technology, making something like that would be really hard. Like you think of the
Yeah.
Goonies, like one of the big scenes there is there's a floor made of tiles and there's the organ and they have to play the right notes on the organ and when they play the wrong
The organ made of finger bones.
yeah, the organ made of finger bones. If they press the wrong one, tiles fall away into a chasm and it's like the mechanics involved in that would be so nuts. And I want to make it
Yeah,
happen though, like because it's cool.
but like just the practical creation of that. Like how many tiles do you have to go through like to make sure you've done it correctly?
Yeah,
You have to be really, really sure of
and you have to
yourself.
be really sure that the tiles that don't fall away are supported so they stay up. Like if
Yes, especially over the ages.
yeah, if you're this is made for people in 1,000 years in the future, it's got to hold up, man.
But like, here's the thing: why? So it's just like, why not just sail off and enjoy your money? I Why did this
Yeah,
happen?
why are you burying the treasure at all? Like
Yeah, and it's like, well, you have all of this ingenuity and energy and
yes,
time to booby trap the fuck out of everything, everything, even the balanced scales before your dead corpse. Like, why not just sail away and then spend your money and enjoy
I
it?
mean, it kind of implies a degree of madness, right? Like that this person's
I see.
lost their
Okay,
mind.
that would be an explanation. Okay, I was wondering like maybe everyone's got the plague and they know they're gonna die, and then like but let's use our last time to booby trap the fuck out of this
But I could
so
totally see
a
in
bunch of
modern
12 year
times
olds
like
can
an
do it.
eccentric millionaire like doing this because they love the
Sure.
trope, right?
Yes.
Like
Okay.
I'm a
Let's
fanboy and I'm
become.
gonna make my booby trap temple.
Well, I think, and not to get dark, but I think that there have been people in the news that I have read about, possibly in Florida, that have booby trapped their own
Hmm.
homes. Yes,
Well, and in
which
like
is
a Home Alone
interesting.
fashion, like bricks flying at
A
people.
Home Alone, or maybe like no, I think in like a very deadly
Okay.
way.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Home Alone in
Well,
real
not
life would
Home
be pretty
Alone.
deadly.
Deadly. Yeah, you'd be dead pretty
Like you
fast.
cannot take
Yeah,
a lead pipe to the face and just like get up and say Marv.
shrug it off, and then like, oh, the torch to the
Yeah,
skull. I feel like that's bad.
that is some prime slapstick
Yeah.
though in those films.
I don't know if I'm a huge fan of slapstick.
I see that. I mean, you tend to enjoy things that are a little more cerebral.
I don't know. It's funny when kids fall down.
Only if it's a kid. So I remember laughing. I haven't watched it in years, but in Home Alone 2, there's a scene where the burglars are outside the house and Kevin's inside the house, and he keeps throwing singular bricks, and they keep on hitting them in the face. And every time it happened, I cracked up, and they just kept getting stupider and stupider, and I could not help but laugh. Like the seeing those guys get hit by bricks and having giant welts on their foreheads for some reason, like that made me laugh. I might be a simpleton.
Okay, I take it back. There is some slapstick that I enjoy because, okay, Jackass.
Yeah, yeah.
I There's just some stuff that's just like, why is this happening? Why did he consent to this? Oh my god, his reaction. Okay, so I take it back. Sometimes, like, there are definitely scenes in one of their movies where it's like, I think when the guy poops in a toilet in a showroom, I wanted to throw up. That's
Yes.
disgusting. That's horrifying. But like just the sort of weird, painful situations they put themselves through. I don't know why it's so entertaining. I don't know. I don't want to see people in pain, but I think it's just the silliness of it that is ridiculous and hilarious to me. So I take it back. Slapstick can be funny. I think when I think of slapstick, I think of like Three
Yeah.
Stooges, which was always so mean spirited,
Yeah, definitely.
you know? where it's like, oh, I'm gonna hit you and hurt you, and I'm like, oh, that's not
It's
fun. But these are people willingly putting themselves in situations, and hijinks
yeah,
ensue.
I think it's a little different though because you know, Jackass is ostensibly a reality show, right? So they're going out in the world,
Mm,
and it's they script us what they're gonna do, but what happens around them, like that's not scripted. Whereas Three Stooges was scripted, like those people were consenting to what's happening, and they're pantomiming, getting hurt. Um, but I see like there being kind of a meaner spirit to it. The thing is though, like Jackass is a lot of doing things to people without their consent, right? Like, especially the cast. They'd be like, all right, I'm going to prank this guy. And that's what pranks are. Pranks are
yeah.
doing something
Okay.
without consent,
So I don't care for
right?
pranks, but they're pretty
They're pretty
funny when
funny.
they happen to someone else.
Yes.
But like sometimes I just feel like pranks are so mean. Yeah, I think it's just like the intent behind
Yeah.
it, right? It's like sometimes I feel like prank you, bro. Just prank, bro. No, that's just you're just being a dick
I
sometimes.
only watch it like when I'm like on vacation for some reason. My parents have it on the background. But have you ever seen the show Impractical Jokers?
No,
So
I think impractical joke or like or practical jokes are
yeah.
mean.
Well, these a lot of them are stupid. It's very hit or miss, but some of them like there's one where they're in Union Square and they have an earpiece in the one guy and they're like, "All right, your task is you have to get someone to hold hands with you and walk down the block." And you have to go find men
Oh,
to hold hands with and walk down the block. And so he's just going to New York and he's asking these people like, "Hey, can I hold your hand?" And a lot of people are just like, "What are you?" It's New York. You're like, you don't look at people, you don't talk to people. But
pre-pandemic.
yes, this is all pre-pandemic, of course.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
but it was a fascinating human interaction, like just trying to get somebody to hold your hand. It's funny, right? Like you get somebody to do it, and you don't
Mhm.
explain the situation. You're like, "Hey, I really need someone to hold my hand right now," and they're just like, one person would be like, "Okay, I'll do it," and then they're just like, "Thank you." So
Oh,
it's kind of sweet, but also it's still a practical joke, right?
okay. Again, it's about intent,
Yeah,
I think for me, and also impact, right? So it's like maybe it was like sweet, but then it was like sweet intent, but then horrible impact on a person. But that sounds
yeah.
innocuous.
I think
So
the
okay,
funniest stuff from that is when they're doing something like that. Like it's unusual, but like it doesn't hurt anyone.
yeah, that's perfect. Perfect. I mean, there's always things that I've wanted to do as a surprise in public, but I don't think of them as pranks. I just think of them as like delight. If it's like if I can offer delight in a public setting, I would like to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Pick a job for me.
because you really enjoy making delight happen.
Yes. Oh, Chris, I've been wanting to talk to you about a thing,
Oh,
but I don't know. That's just I enjoy chaotic gift giving.
yeah,
Um, this weekend is someone's birthday that I kind of don't really know. She's turning 16, and um, and I asked her, "Oh, what would you like for your birthday?" And she's like, "An Apple Watch." And I'm like,
that's so boring
"How
and
is?"
expensive.
And I really want to give it to her because I feel like she would be so happy, but I barely know her, and it's very expensive. But there is such a tremendous. I don't know. Do you share this urge, like especially as a parent? I wonder how much this affects you. Like, it would make her day to receive X, and with the children, if they ask you for things, it would make them so happy. But also, there are practical considerations around it.
Yeah. Uh,
What do?
well, for me, for one, I don't really get that impetus at all.
Really?
Yeah, especially with my own kids. Like
Okay.
I don't like just giving them stuff, and I try to get the idea across that like to get excited about seeing people or doing things or visiting places and not so much about stuff. And what's weird, something that's really different about my kids' generation than like I feel we were growing up, like they don't get a ton of exposure to ads. So they don't like I remember watching
Mm-hmm.
TV, I'd be like, "Oh, I want, the Ghostbusters toys, the Ninja Turtles toys. I want like He-Man. Like I want all these things that I'm seeing advertised." And
Mm-hmm.
they don't see that because they don't watch broadcast television. And so We got to a point where my eldest, like, she was 9 last year. We're like, what do you want for Christmas? She's like, I don't really need much. I don't really.
Oh,
I mean, she has a computer, and she has access to all my video games. So she's just kind of like, yeah, I don't really know. And it's hard to get gifts now because the kids, there's not a ton they desire. Now the younger one, she has hit a phase where she sees something, she's like, I want that, and like we went to a restaurant a couple days ago, and they had a TV on, and they were advertising some doll, and she's like, I would really like that doll. But see, my impetus in that was like, you're not getting that doll. Screw you.
oh. I mean, I don't think it's I think the impulse is not limited to
Yeah.
objects and consumer packaged goods, let's say. But like, so if your child asked you, like, I would really love to go horseback riding, and you knew it wasn't just like an advertising related impulse, it was like something that would really make their
Yeah,
day.
and that would be awesome, like,
Yeah,
especially for a special occasion. Like, this is your birthday. This is,
yeah,
hey, you got really good
yes.
report card. Let's go do a thing.
It is tearing me up inside. I don't really even know this person. Like we maybe exchanged like a dozen words. Oh, but it would make her
But I
day.
feel like an Apple Watch is kind of boring.
That's a
It's
lot. It's
expensive.
yeah,
It's
and
and it's
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 expensive.
expensive, and like it's gonna get outdated, and like it's just like like
And then she's gonna have to pay for like subscriptions to shit and like
yeah. And what's she
yeah.
really gonna do with it? Like, it's gonna be a fun toy to play with for a little while.
Close the rings.
Do you have a smartwatch of some kind?
I do not. I
Yeah.
I'm free. I'm
See, I got
free. I don't need more
I got like an
screens.
exercise monitor, Garmin thing,
Ooh.
but like it doesn't connect to anything. It's just like, this is your heart rate and this is the time. Um,
How often do you check it?
what I actually use it most for is tracking how well I slept. So in the morning, I'll be like, it has this thing called body battery, where at 100, like, you're theoretically
Ooh,
full energy, and then throughout the day you lose it, and then as you rest, it goes back up. And I don't know how.
that's
Yeah, so I
clever.
don't know how accurate it is, but in the big morning, I'll be like, man, I feel crappy, but how crappy should I feel? And I check it, and sometimes it'll be like, all right, I'm up in the 90s, I should be fine, even though I feel like trash. You know,
Well, what if, what if Garmin is wrong?
it could be, and I'm
And
just
yeah,
faking all this.
I don't know. I just wonder, like maybe you are not feeling great, Garmin. Take that
But then
technology. You may
there'll be
fail.
times when I'll wake up and I feel like trash, and I look at the watch, and I'm like, yep, I got like 50
Yep, I'm
percent of
trash.
sleep. That stinks. Yeah.
Okay. See, that stuff like that like makes me interested. But I just, just do the thing. I like I feel like if I got into that, then I'd like get super into
Yeah,
it.
you can definitely
And
get too much. Yeah, I don't want it to drive like my life. So this is just like, hey, I check it when, like, I do a run, and I check it when I'm like asleep after I wake up, and that's about it. But
okay,
some people,
it's
they
reasonable.
want it to, like, Kelly's got it going off when she gets like text messages and all that thing, and
Oh.
I would probably cut my hand off.
It can just come off though. The watches can
It
come
can,
off.
but like, if
Yeah.
it's easier to like just dismember myself, I might.
Yeah, if you're near like a meat slicer,
Yeah.
just like this.
I was talking about this yesterday, but yeah, every time my phone goes off for like a text message or a notification, my first reaction is anger. No matter what it, like, I don't even know what it is yet, but I just get
What if I text
I
you?
get mad. I'm
Ah,
sorry. Yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, I won't
No,
text
you're allowed
you.
to see.
I
That's the
won't.
thing. Like, I still work with text, and I get over it, but the first reaction to like a buzz is rage, and I'd like to not have that happen, but I don't know. It's like
You can
hardwired.
turn off. You can turn those off though. Notifications. So I don't get any buzzes or anything. The only thing is, if my husband texts me, he plays a little song,
That's nice.
like just a little ditty, like a four-note ditty, um, and that's it. But otherwise, I don't. I have no idea. Sometimes I'll come in, they're like
Yeah.
all these things.
I should
Yeah.
probably like look into tweaking it some more. Like, the one that makes me the most anxious is when it goes off and I'm driving, and then I'm
Oh,
like, what if it's something like important, like at the shop
It's
or at
not.
home, and like, but I'm like, oh, I'm driving. I can't look at it until I get somewhere. So like that entire, like, say it's a half-hour drive, 30 minutes I'm spent like,
You could
and
quietly
then
pull over and then check.
it's hard on the highway to pull over.
Oh, I see. Yes. You
Like
could.
sometimes it's the highway,
Does your car
but
have a
then
thingy where you can attach your phone to your thingy? And it's like,
no.
oh,
See, my car's 11 years old and it didn't have the fancy features then. But no, it's something I kind of get over.
okay. Boundaries, Chris. We were talking about how terrific it
Boundaries, yeah,
is
and
for
that's
having boundaries. Yeah.
what's my boundaries. Like I prefer to get a phone call, like in
I'm
all
just gonna fucking
honesty.
call you sometime.
Do please.
I just think it's
And I
weird.
might be like, hey, cool, it's great to hear you. I can't talk right now, but it's great to hear your voice.
La la la. It sounds like this. Record it. It'll last longer. I mean, that if my phone rang, I would be scared. I'd be like, nothing. It's either like some telemarketer or something bad has happened.
Yeah. And the only reason people call you is something terrible happens. Like, is that your life?
I mean, I just feel like I don't know what happened. There was like some people use the phone to call, and then we were all like, oh no, just text. It's not important. And now we're back at like people calling with voices. It's so
Mm-hmm.
strange. I just don't know, like just the way that culture has shifted around. The new.
Oh, I didn't.
Oh, go ahead.
There's a shift back to voice. Like, I didn't know that.
One thing that keeps happening is like people like you have like text messages in your thing, and then people will like record talking into the text chain, and I'm just like,
Weird.
yeah, and like a lot of the younger people that I work with do this, and I'm just like, we just call me at that point, but they'll just like record themselves talking, and then they'll send it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like this is veered into like we're complaining because
Yeah, sorry. What's terrific? Oh, wait, I want to show you. I feel like these stickers are very terrific.
oh yeah, yeah. How many do you
I
have?
just several.
Several.
I gave one away last night, but I just isn't that nice? We live in a world where I can on demand have a dick butt die cut sticker. That's pretty rad, you know? Power to the independent artists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is terrific.
I think it's terrific. That's all I wanted to share.
Yeah, and coming back around to like WandaVision, we were discussing like
Oh yeah.
technology. I'm in the process of building new screens for WandaVision because the first screens are falling apart, and basically I got some projector material and like folded it and sewed it so that it's got like a black border, fold it in on its edges, and then put holes in it to put grommets in at four corners, and that worked okay. But over time, especially in the snow, when it gets cold out, they tense up and rip.
Oh.
And so now I'm in the process of using. I think what I'm going to do is use a frame stretcher, like for a painting, and wrap
Mm-hmm.
that with a projector material. And projector materials seem to have
Oh.
come a long way. At least,
In just a few years?
yeah. Well, it's been six, I guess, since I built them originally.
Oh.
But now I'm like seeing like so we have a lot of ambient light because it's outdoors, and I've come to realize that now if you have ambient light, you actually want a gray screen because um, when you think about when you're projecting something, when there's a black in the picture, the black is
Mm-hmm.
only as dark as the color of the screen inherently. Like the projector doesn't make anything darker;
Oh.
it just makes everything around it brighter. And so, by comparison, it looks like black, but it's really white, right? It's just a dim white. Yeah,
Fascinating. At first, I immediately have a question. You know how to sew?
I know. Yeah, I'm not great at it, but I know how to sew. Yeah,
I love that. That's terrific. Do you have your own machine or do you borrow one?
I use Kelly's machine. She's got a pretty good
Oh,
one.
wow.
She's got opinions on them.
That's so great. Ooh, I'm sure. Ooh,
Do you have
that's so
Do you
great.
commonly sew?
I no longer have a sewing machine. I gave it away in the move. But I kind of know how to sew, not much. I mean, machine sewing. Certainly by hand I can sew because of embroidery and stuff like that. But I just think it's such an incredible skill. And I wish I knew more about it and knew how to do it because it's just like, oh, you can make so many things, like especially with old clothes. And
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd love to do more than like learning sewing better is learning woodworking. Like woodworking seems so useful, and
yes,
you can, yeah, just fix stuff, right?
yeah, I don't know why, but I've always wanted a lathe.
Yeah,
It's so cool, but so
so
dangerous.
cool and
I'm
so
so
dangerous.
scared. Yes. I've been watching this series on YouTube from Architectural Digest where they have like furniture makers, like they give them some sort of prepackaged like IKEA thing, and then they have to remake it.
Oh,
And like these are like legit furniture, and they have like so many tools, all these different types of saws. And they're talking about, oh, when you go on a router table, you want to do it like this. And I'm like, whoa, it's like this incredibly complex world. But it's like, it looks fun because you have all these cool things, but also it looks so dangerous.
yeah,
It's like so dangerous. Like that's just an exposed blade, just like, and I'm like, oh god. But I'm fascinated by it. Woodworking. Wow, what a skill.
yeah. Woodworking's really cool, and people. It is one of those things though. Like you need like a baseline of tools to get started, or else you're just like, well, now I need this other tool. Um, there's actually a nearby woodworking studio that lets you rent it, and you can go there and take classes even.
Ooh,
So I should do that sometime. And
that would be so
yeah,
cool. I mean, I tried to learn to whittle, um, but of course my spine can't do anything. But that's a lot harder than you think.
well, I imagine it's a lot in like the fingers and the wrists. Like it's a lot
Yeah,
of, and I would
it's
be
not great for
afraid.
arthritis.
Yeah, chipping away at your own fingers. You don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like kind of a soothing practice, depending on the wood that you're working with and how sharp your knives are. But yeah, it's neat. I don't know. I really want to make stuff with my hands. That's such a satisfying feeling.
Yeah,
And I guess like making things on the internet is with your hands, but no,
it's different.
physical objects are neat.
It lacks that tactile nature, right?
Yes. Here's riddle me this, Chris. I like to make things, but I don't necessarily want more things.
Yeah.
What do?
I think if you can figure out that there's a need in society somewhere that's accepting donations of certain things, make that thing, and then give it out. Like a lot of people like cooking. There's a lot of places you can donate food, um,
Hmm.
especially like ready-made meals. And there's a lot of places you can probably donate, clothing, and that's something that you can
Hmm.
make. Yeah, so I think
I,
if or just have a lot of friends and give gifts, but there's a limit to that, right? Like not everyone wants to
yeah,
keep getting, whittled things. There's only so much you can take.
yeah. Chris doesn't even want my doll, so
Well, yeah.
that's fine.
Well,
That's
here's
fine.
another thing you can do. Decorate your home, and this is harder because you don't own your house, right? But if you
Yes,
own your
yeah.
house, I feel like you can go nuts. Like my parents moved into a house where the previous owners were so the lady she was a stained glass artist as a hobby, and the
Oh,
dude was a woodworker. So the whole house is filled with
combo.
custom wood and custom just stained glass everywhere. It's beautiful.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's so
and they're kind of like
cool.
my life goal. Like I want to get good at something like that, and then like just fill my house with the stuff I make. Like
You're good at all kinds of
yeah, but
things.
none of those things are good. Like aside from like maybe making 2D art, like it doesn't incorporate into a house quite as nicely.
I think your mosaics at Tubby Robot are beautiful.
Thank you. I would love to do more mosaics. Mosaics are very fun.
I see a wall right behind you,
Yeah.
screaming for a mosaic.
It seems,
It's been green as long as I've known you
yeah,
in this, yeah,
it's been
in
green
this
since we
space.
moved in. We
Yeah,
painted it that
so,
color.
mosaic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have to. Now that it's a little past 2, I actually have to go. So I think we gotta
Oh,
cut this episode a little short.
well, it's been pretty terrific to talk to you,
It's been pretty terrific to talk to
and
you. Yeah.
I hope you have a pretty terrific day.
You too. And I hope everyone out there also has a terrific day. And yeah, we will see you again in the not too
Next
distant
week.
future.
Okay.
Well, next.
Next Sunday, AD.
Yeah. See you later.
Bye.